you know, he made $100 million, you know, and he's his own boss. He can say and do what he wants to do, having a great team.
Yeah.
Because no one person can do it by himself. That was the core of the team.
Gotcha.
You know, and it was a tremendous sacrifice, you know, especially for me. I worked like 15 years straight, 7 days a week, 20 hours a day.
Wow.
You know, that whole middle part of my life,
yeah,
it didn't exist. It didn't exist.
And now you have this egg on your face and things are falling apart. And now people are wondering, did you get screwed, or was it your own financial ignorance, and now you're bitter?
People taking shots at a great fighter, Mayweather. Probably the same people that were, applauding him and saying how great he was at one point, and now they're taking shots at him like they're almost, like they get pleasure out of seeing a great fall, potentially.
You're right,
fall.
but when you call yourself the money man, you do it to yourself a little bit too.
No, I can't argue with that.
The world of sports and high-stakes finance has just been rocked to its very core by a revelation so shocking it seems almost impossible to believe. Leonard Ellerby, the man who stood as the architect and the gatekeeper of the money, team inner sanctum for decades, has finally broken his silence, and his words are like a nuclear bomb dropped on the legacy of Floyd "Money" Mayweather. Ellerby didn't just hint at trouble. He confirmed that the $1.1 billion empire Floyd built with his blood, sweat, and fists has effectively been incinerated. Looking back at the years of working side by side with the champ, Ellerby admits that this catastrophic financial collapse was not just a—
saying from day one what it is that, and then they know, everybody laughed at me. They laughed at me. They said, oh, you know, he just talking nonsense. I've been told all.
Leonard Ellerby goes even deeper into the dark psychology of this downfall, explaining that when a human being reaches the absolute stratosphere of fame and success that Floyd achieved, a dangerous and often fatal transformation occurs. Criticism naturally follows that kind of wealth, but for Floyd, the real fight wasn't against an opponent in the ring. It was a psychological war with his own ego. The ultimate test for the billionaire boxer was how he handled the intense scrutiny of his lifestyle, and according to those who were there to see it, the ego won every single time.
Today, when you're on top, when you're at the top, you can expect criticism. It just comes with success. And it's all about how you handle things. And me personally, none of it is personal.
Greatest what if in the history of professional sports. Ellerby laments the fact that Floyd Mayweather Jr. possessed all the tools to become the world's first true athlete mogul, standing on the same mountain as icons like Jay-Z, Michael Jordan, or Magic Johnson. If Floyd had taken his ventures with even a fraction of the discipline and seriousness he brought to his boxing training, he would be sitting on a stable, generational empire today. Instead, he chose the flash over the foundation. Reckless decisions, a total lack of long-term foresight, and a reliance on a fast money lifestyle turned what should have been a business dynasty.
Formed his own company,
right?
But he was the first one that had a team surrounded by him. That our focus was the business, and his focus was the boxing. And in turn, we built the brand, built Mayweather Promotions.
Yeah.
And Floyd became his own boss.
Wow.
And that was—
You want a clear sign of how deep the water is getting? You only have to look at the humiliating public feud with Logan Paul. In a move that has embarrassed the boxing community, Logan Paul is openly and loudly mocking the man who once called himself TBE, or the best ever. Logan claims that he is still waiting to receive a staggering $1.5 million payment from their exhibition fight. The irony is absolutely deafening. A man who spent his entire career posting videos of himself throwing stacks of 100 bills around is now allegedly dodging a relatively small debt to a YouTuber. This isn't just a simple disagreement over a contract. It is a massive public signal to the—
Because he's still waiting on the 1.5 from Floyd Mayweather. He made this video simultaneously with the beef with Le'Veon, and I don't know, maybe it's coincidence, maybe it isn't.
Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao 2. The fight nobody asked for except me. I need this because if Floyd wins, he can finally pay me my $1.5 million. I don't care about the legacy fight. I don't care that these men have a combined age of 100 years. I care that Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer alive, uses those same hands that made him 100 million to Venmo me my money. And Floyd, if you're watching this, win it and pay me back or I'm gonna send my goons after you. Gotcha. Hey.
I really don't know why I watched that. Yeah, listen, dude. Logan is, again, functionally a coward for not doing this. I was really excited for it, too. I couldn't wait. That was about to be content, son. But, I mean, okay, yes. I understand if he is under WWE contract, they're not going to allow him to do it.
The legendary boxing analyst Teddy Atlas has observed a chilling and heartbreaking shift in the way the public perceives the champ. The same vultures and fans who used to scream TMT and bowed down to Floyd's display of wealth are now the very ones leading the mockery. Atlas points out that the world is now laughing at what is being described as his biggest fall. The cheering has turned into jeering, proving a brutal lesson in the world of high finance. If you live by the sword of flaunting your wealth, you will inevitably die by the shame of losing it in front of the whole world.
Yeah, like you said, he was Mayweather, Money Mayweather, and now he's suing because he went through his money, he blew his money, whatever. Look, I don't know what the truth is fully in there. I know Steven Espinoza was named. He ran Showtime at the time. He was named him. I never was a fan of Espinoza. Again, I'm not afraid to say and not mince my words when I feel a certain way. And I've taken arrows for it, and of course I've also taken some praise for it. That people say, hey, Teddy's going to say what he feels. I was never a fan of him. I never thought he was a man that kept his word. I never thought he really did a great job over at Showtime. I mean, they put some good fights on because the fights were available, because the landscape made it.
In a strange and unexpected twist, music mogul Whack 100 has stepped into the conversation to offer a different perspective. He argues that Floyd Mayweather isn't broke in the way a normal person understands the word. Whack 100 claims that Floyd is rich in peace of mind, asserting that he remains totally unaffected by the gossip, the social media noise, or the opinions of outsiders. Whack suggests that while the bank accounts might look messy and the lawsuits are piling up, Floyd's spirit remains undefeated. However, critics are asking a very simple question. Can peace of mind pay a $340 million legal bill or stop the
Where Floyd is rich at right now?
What's that?
His peace of mind. When I send him things, like I send you things when it's pertaining to you, when he gets to time, he'll call me and he say, hey, Wack, what's that? And I tell him, he said, that's nonsense. He said, well, as long as they trying to figure me out, they not gonna be able to figure out what they need to do. And he continues to move. I will say this without saying too much, that I've seen him pass on some big deals based upon business he already has on the table. But again, I've been to his home, I talk to him regular. He's my business partner.
Paulie Malignaggi, the former champion and one of the sharpest analysts in the game, has pointed out the fatal flaw in Floyd's entire life strategy. He argues that if Floyd had simply kept his finances private and lived behind closed doors, nobody would be questioning his status or his wealth today. But by constantly shoving his money into the camera lens, Floyd invited every auditor, every tax agent, and every federal investigator to examine his life with a magnifying glass. He effectively made himself the biggest target in the country, and now that visibility is coming back to haunt him as the authorities begin to strip away the layers of his empire.
He was seeing how much Floyd was making, right? And Floyd himself was flaunting himself like he was the guy who was making that kind of money. And for all intents and purposes, I assume he was. Everybody assumed he was, and seemed like he thought he was, because he wasn't complaining. He was showing off, you know? This is why, as I get older, I feel like, and everybody always tells you this when you're young, like, keep your finances private, you know, and this is why I think this is a big reason why. First and foremost, you notice that if you don't keep your finances private, everybody and their mothers ask you for money constantly. And they don't ask you for...
That happens either way.
And they don't ask you, well, people assume you have money, but if you flaunt it, you definitely, they confirm you have money. And they don't ask you for money like you need to buy the Rolex or the Lamborghini. They'll guilt you into it. They need their mother's dying in the hospital. They need to pay for a funeral. Their kid is sick. Like, they guilt you into it, and you almost feel bad not giving it.
The situation has moved far beyond rumors and has now escalated into a full-scale legal war that could change the sport of boxing forever. A prominent boxing analyst has broken down the most shocking part of this entire saga. Floyd Mayweather is currently suing his former business partners, Showtime and Steven Espinosa, for a mind-boggling $340 million. He is alleging that massive sums of money were hidden from him during his prime years. While his longtime advisor, Al Heyman, is not directly named as a defendant, the legal battles are piling up so fast that it seems Floyd is fighting a war on 10 different fronts at the same time.
That we are going to go through in this video. Now, I've been covering boxing for double-digit years. Allow me to take you through it. A simple Google search shows Floyd Mayweather. You type in his name, you're going to see some fight photos and whatnot. But the top stories, and there's multiple stories, and we're going to take a look at some of them. But as mentioned, Business Insider is now reporting what you see on the screen, that Floyd Mayweather is being accused in lawsuits of owing millions of dollars for luxury watches, gold, and rent on palatial apartment, right? The bullet points. Floyd was sued for allegedly failing to pay rent on a luxurious duplex.
Perhaps the most human and grounding detail of this entire tragedy is the Miami condo scandal. While Floyd was busy posting photos of his private jets and his $1 million watch collection, he was allegedly falling behind on the rent for his luxury apartment in Miami. A local couple who owns the condo has come forward with reports that Floyd fell behind on $500,000 in rent. Despite initial payments, he reportedly went completely silent, ignoring all attempts to collect the debt. This pattern of ignoring bills and overspending is the classic textbook hallmark of an athlete on the brink of total financial ruin.
This sum represents the $500,000 in arrears plus late fees minus a deposit that Mayweather paid at the start of the lease and the $100,000 catch-up payment. So they deducted what he did submit when he was made aware of this, the $100K, and I guess a deposit. So the remaining balance is that. An attorney for Mayweather did not provide a comment by deadline. He has not responded to the lawsuit in court. In a separate legal matter, so we've already went over one with this luxury condo in Manhattan, right? But a separate legal matter, a Miami jeweler sued Floyd Mayweather last month, alleging the boxer owes more than $1 million for jewelry that he took but never paid for.
Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri have sat down to break down the actual mathematics of failure. They ask the question everyone is thinking: how does a man who earned hundreds of millions of dollars in a single night against Manny Pacquiao or Conor McGregor end up in this position? They explain that at the height of his career, missing track of even one fight's secondary income streams could lead to a loss of $50 million or more. When you handle billions, a small 5% mistake in accounting isn't just a few dollars, it's a catastrophic sum. These small oversights have compounded over the last 10 years, creating a financial black hole that is now swallowing everything he owns.
I don't know. Like, there's guys who have a lot of money, okay? For me, I could go into a jewelry store, spend $20,000 at the time, like nothing. Like, you know what? I didn't plan on going there. I bought a Ferrari. I went with my friend to go check out a Ferrari he was gonna buy. I went there and I'm like, I got this in my account. I could buy this right now. You know, like that. You know, and I'm not saying that's smart. What I'm saying is,
your accountant must have loved you.
yeah, really. But what I'm saying is, I got good money for that when I sold it.
I'm just
The used car market came back at the time. But anyway, what I'm saying is, it could go like that, okay? That kind of money. But bro, $340 million? That's not Ferrari, bro. That's a lot of Ferraris, a lot of houses.
But Floyd had a lot of Ferraris, and that's the thing about Floyd. Like, yes, is that way too much money? Yes, that's a crazy amount.
$340 million?
Analysts are now drawing a terrifying and historical comparison to the downfall of Iron Mike Tyson. It appears that history is repeating itself in the most tragic way possible. Just like Tyson before him, Floyd was surrounded by a massive entourage of people who may have been taking advantage of his trust and his lack of financial literacy. Malik Nagy emphasizes that these issues didn't happen overnight or just because of one bad year. They were a decade in the making. It is the same old story that has plagued boxing for 100 years. A fighter who can conquer any man in the ring but is completely defenseless against the sharks waiting for him in the boardroom.
Track of an entire fight person, more than one fight, multiple fight
at the height of your career.
$340 million. There's nights where you didn't make that much money in a night.
But we heard about stuff like this with Mike Tyson back in the day. Big money losses, people taking advantage of him, a number of different things. Now, all that being said and done, 10 years is the point. That is the major point of all of this. Because when you look about this now, 10 years, where does this come from? It makes me think that someone's gotten in his ear. And maybe, where does this come from out of nowhere? Is he going through the books now, 10 years later? No, of course not. Someone else is. Someone else is probably telling him, hey man, this is like this, this is like that. So you think
it did happen?
I don't know. I think regardless of whether it happened or it didn't,
that's what I'm wondering.
Unless it's coming out of nowhere, unless he literally is just getting
because he's losing his mind, because there's a lot of rumors about him losing money, right?
Losing money, being I don't want to say destitute, but the old saying, the mighty.
Boxing journalist Dan Rafael is not surprised by these developments at all. In fact, he says that anyone who was truly paying attention to Floyd's lifestyle could have seen this coming from a mile away. Floyd lived a life that required constant, massive, and never-ending infusions of cash. We are talking about private jets flying empty just to pick up a suit, 20-car convoys of luxury SUVs, and $1,000 a night hotel rooms for an entourage of 50 people. Rafael points out that social media wasn't just a marketing tool for Floyd, it was actually a digital confession of his financial suicide.
But the fact that Floyd would encounter some financial issues post his boxing career is not in any way a surprise to me. When you see the types of things that, if you believe anything that he puts on his social media, the travel that he does, the places he goes, and the amount of entourage he has, that's like a money pit. Whether you're flying on private jets or you're staying at first class hotels or you're, buying expensive jewelry and cars and bags and you name it. It's all good when you're making those gigantic paydays and they're coming in, a couple times a year. You're making 40 million here and 25 million there, or even more, 100 million plus, when he fought the big mega fights with guys like Conor McGregor and Manny Pacquiao. But when that stops, that money it goes.
And Rafael issues a stark and haunting warning to all athletes and celebrities. No matter how much you earn, if you live beyond your sustainable means, the math will eventually catch up to you. Even the record-breaking, history-making paydays of the money era were not enough to sustain a lifestyle that had no budget, no boundaries, and no sense of reality. This is no longer just a story about a boxer. It has become a global cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ego and the illusion of infinite wealth.
About the 340 million, it just didn't ring true to me, because Al Heyman, who is not named in the suit, but apparently is supposedly part of this problem, whatever. But I've known Al Heyman and covered Al Heyman's fighters and his business since the day he stepped in boxing in 2002 with Vernon Forrest. And all that time, and literally in terms of the PBC, a couple hundred fighters that he's dealt with, maybe not personally, but that his team is and his company. To a fighter, you never hear anybody, even when they're retired and they're not with Al anymore, nobody talks bad about him. In fact, if you ask most fighters, they'll tell you how good to them that he has been. That type of money that they've helped him make, and the person that he's paid, and the guidance that he's...
Fannin has taken a deep dive into the specifics of the $340 million lawsuit that has everyone talking. Floyd is claiming that despite earning over $1 billion throughout his career, a huge portion of that money never actually made it into his personal bank accounts. He is accusing Showtime and former network president Steven Espinoza of playing a direct role in what he calls financial mismanagement. Floyd alleges that money from the two biggest fights in human history, the Pacquiao and McGregor bouts, was siphoned off into accounts controlled by others, leaving him with much less than he was promised.